Boys, for the title over in Germany might be a little bit boring, that's right, as Bayern München are still in the driving seat, 8 points clear, and we're running out of games. Can they wrap it up this weekend? We'll take a little look next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today is all about match day number 32. 32 to you and I as we enter another week of football over in Germany. That's right. What's going to go on this weekend? We'll take a look at that in a second. Because if you know where you've been, your one-stop shop for Bundesliga is right here, of course. Also, we do Rovers, World Football. We've got everything all here under one roof here. Of course, Bayern Leverkusen's got to keep on winning and hope Bayern München don't. That's right. And of course, they could close it all up. But they've blown so many opportunities. I think they even blew one last weekend. We'll showcase that in a minute. Big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. So let's get into it and recap the results from last time around. Show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, guys. These were the results. And of course, not good for Leverkusen. Actually, not bad for Leverkusen. They did win. But anyway, they're still a little bit off the pace. Kicking off with Stuttgart losing to Heidenheim. I think the race for the avoid the drop zone is where the party's at right now. So what a win for Heidenheim over Stuttgart. No one saw that one coming. Dortmund with a 3-2 win over Hoffenheim. They're back in the mixer as well for top four. We'll see about that in a minute. Freiburg with a 1-0 win over Wolfsburg. They're also doing their ting. Bayern with a 3-0 win over Mainz. Got that one spot on the nose. Holstein Kiel beat my boys 4-3. What's that all about? To blow up Gladbach's chances of getting into those Champions League spots. Leverkusen with a 2-0 win over Augsburg. Got that one bang on point. Frankfurt with a 4-0 win over Leipzig. Wow. Bochum with a draw against Union Berlin. And Werder Bremen and St. Pauli drew 0-0, of course. So that's that. This is the table. Where am I? Show me. I want to be on the TV. There I am. So Bayern are top. 8 points clear at the top of the table. Frankfurt, though, are in third. A good country mile distance, though, between themselves and Bayer Leverkusen. Freiburg, 4 points adrift in fourth. But the looks of Dortmund, Leipzig, all trying to get into that top four. And at the moment, they're in the driving seat. Going down, Bochum, Holstein Kiel still well adrift of the pace. And I think, well, they're not all, none of them are down yet. That 16th spot, of course, is a sort of limbo land between safety and relegation. Of course, it is the playoff relegation spot. You finish there, then you got yourself a chance. It looks like 3 teams are competing for that one playoff relegation spot. So looks like Hoffenheim might just have enough. St. Pauli might just have enough as well. But a couple wins on the bounce here for Holstein Kiel. What we're looking at, 3 games left for the German campaign, including this one. So 9 points on the offering. So still technically on the cards, but right now it's looking like it's going to be these guys down there. Anyway, so the prediction league is still going on. I'm not giving you an update today. I'll give you an update next time. I promise you. It's been a long time coming. But these are the next round of games, and they're going to kick it off on Friday, the 2nd of May. That's right, at Heidenheim, as they take on Bochum at the Volta Arena. Heidenheim struggling, 16th for the table, 25 points for the season. They've actually won 3 and lost 3 over the last 6. Up against Bochum, who are coming into this in 18th spot on 21 points for the campaign. They are winless in the last 5. Of course, both well and truly in that relegation discussion. 4 points separate the two sides, and a win for Bochum could actually be a massive boost here. Played 18 times, 4 wins Heidenheim, 10 wins Bochum, 4 draws between the two sides. Last time around at Heidenheim, it was a 0-0 draw. A draw would probably relegate, well, again, won't relegate Bochum. It would just put them all competing for that player for safety. Bochum picking up a draw in the reverse fixture. Actually, tell a lie. The last time that these two sides played at this venue, it was a 0-0 draw. The reverse fixture was a 2-0 win for Bochum back in December. Bochum, though, picking up a draw against Union Berlin. Heidenheim with a 1-0 win away to Stuttgart. The odds for this one, though, Heidenheim are in the driving seat. They are fancied by the bookies. I'm going with a 2-1 win as well to give themselves a massive boost and maybe, just maybe, break away the gap between Bochum and that playoff relegation spot. St. Pauli then up against Stuttgart, come at the Militär Stadion. Alexander Blezin has been linked with a couple of jobs over in England, maybe even in the Championship, I think. Anyway, St. Pauli are 14th right now, 31 points for the season. They're unbeaten the last 4. Up against Stuttgart under Sebastian Hoeneß, who are 11th, and they're winless in the last 3. They played 15 times since 1995. 2 wins St. Pauli, 11 wins for Stuttgart. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around at this very venue, it was a 1-1 draw back in February 2020. That was in the Zweite Bundesliga. The reverse fixture, a 1-0 win for St. Pauli at Stuttgart back on around about December time. St. Pauli on the back of successive draws there. Stuttgart on the back of a 1-0 loss to Heidenheim. Wow. The odds for this one, though, quite tight, very, very tight. Stuttgart, I've got the edge with the bookies. I've gone with a 1-0 win, though, for St. Pauli to continue their recent bit of form and maybe surge up the table once again for St. Pauli. But what a game. If there's anything this could be the one. This could be the difference maker. And I think if Bayern win this one, then the title is definitely over, even though it would be mathematically over anyway. I think there'll be 6 points left. But anyway, it is Leipzig. It is Bayern. It's coming to the Red Bull Arena. Of course, Leipzig are 5th right now, 49 points for the season, up against the Bayern, who are top with 75 points, of course. 21 times they've played since 2016. 3 wins Leipzig, 12 wins Bayern. There's been 6 draws between the two sides. Coming into this, last time they played at Leipzig, it was a 2-2 draw. I don't think that's going to be good enough for Bayer Leverkusen. They need a Leipzig victory. But the reverse fixture at the Allianz was a 5-1 win for Bayern back in December 2024. Leipzig, though, on the back, not the greatest preparation, on the back of a 4-0 loss to Frankfurt. Bayern on the back of that 4-0 win over Mainz to make it 7 goals scored in the last 2 matches. Coming into this, it is not as tight as you would imagine. Bayern, of course, red hot favourites for the victory. Going to go with a 3-2 win as well. And I think that is game over for Leverkusen in the German title defence. Meanwhile, my boys, Mönchengladbach, need a win, and they need a win fast. They're going to be taking on Hoffenheim, coming at Borussia Park. That's right, Gerard Sorinho's boys are 9th right now, 44 points for the season. They're winless in the last 4, and they've lost 3 on the spin. Up against Hoffenheim, Christian Ilster's boys are 15th. They're down there. They're in a bit of trouble, and of course, a couple wins elsewhere, and they might be a squeaky bum time. But they're coming into just 1 win on the last 6. They played Gladbach 37 times since 2007. They have the edge, only slightly, 13 wins compared to Gladbach's 12, and there's been 12 draws between the two sides. Last time around at Borussia Park, it was a 2-1 win for Mönchengladbach back in December 2023. The reverse fixture this season, also in December, 2-1 win for Gladbach as well. Gladbach winning 5 of the last 6 against them. They're coming into this, though, on the back of back to 3 defeats on the spin for them, as their season was on a good spot after that Leipzig victory, but it all went wrong after that. Hoffenheim as well haven't won in a couple of games. They've conceded 6 goals in the last 2 combined. Bookies odds on this one. Gladbach fancy with the bookies. I've got to back them. 2-0 winners. That might get the season back on track, but it'll be too little too late. And they've got Bayern very, very soon as well. So it's not looking good. Meanwhile, Union Berlin, they're going to be taking on Werder Bremen. That's right. Coming out of the Alte Alten Fulsterei. Berlin under Stefan Baumgart are 13th for the table, 36 points for the season. They're unbeaten in the last 7 matches. Up against Bremen under Oliver has done a great job. They're 8th right now, 46 points for the season, unbeaten in the last 5. They played Berlin 11 times since 2009. 6 wins for Union Berlin, 4 wins Bremen. There's been 1 draw between the two sides. Last time around, over in Berlin, it was a 2-1 win way back in March 2024. The reverse fixture in Bremen was a 4-1 win for Bremen back in December. So the home side has won the last 4, whether it's Bremen, whether it's Berlin. So if that trend continues, Berlin will win this one. Berlin on the back of 3 successive draws, drawn with Leverkusen, drawn with Stuttgart, and drawn with Bochum. Bremen on the back of that draw against St. Pauli. It's actually been back-to-back clean sheets for Bremen heading into this as well. The bookies odds right here, right now, looking at it. It is tight, very, very tight. Bremen have the edge. But Union Berlin ain't no slouches these days. Going to go with the 2-1 win. The form continues. And, of course, Berlin will end the season strong, it looks like. Dortmund, they're taking on Wolfsburg, come at you at the Signal Iduna Park. Big week for Dortmund. Champions League adventure. That's over, isn't it? No, it's not. Next up, it's Dortmund up against Wolfsburg at the Signal Iduna Park. That's right, Dortmund and Nico Kovac are 6th right now, 48 points for the season, 3 wins on the spin, unbeaten in the last 4 up against the Wolfsburg side, who've gone off the edge of a cliff right now. They're winless in the last 7. They're 12th right now, 39 points for the season. They played Dortmund 58 times since 1997. We have 35 wins, Dortmund, 12 wins, Wolfsburg. There's been 11 draws between the two sides. Last time they played each other over at Dortmund, it was a 1-0 win for Dortmund way back in September 2023. The reverse fixture this season, in fact, they played twice this season, both of them at Wolfsburg. Once was in the DFB Pokal. Wolfsburg coming out on top 1-0 after extra time. The other time they played at Wolfsburg, it was in the league, and Dortmund won 3-1 way back in December. Freiburg, they're beating Wolfsburg most recently. Dortmund Dortmund winning against Hoffenheim 3-2. They actually scored 9 goals in the last 3 games combined, of course, including a 3-1 win over Barcelona in the Champions League. But, of course, that adventure is over. The odds for this one, Dortmund heavily fancied, and maybe, just maybe, they've hit form at the right time. I've gone with a 2-0 win. Dortmund taking the points and moving the chains, keeping the top 4 dreams alive. Augsburg will then take on Holstein Kiel on Sunday. May the 4th be with you at the WWK Arena. Augsburg under Jesse Turup are 10th right now, 43 points for the season, just 1 win in the last 5. Up against Holstein Kiel, who are 17th, 22 points for the season, just 1 win in the last 6 themselves. They played Augsburg twice in 2019, 1 win apiece and 0 draws. Last time they played each other was way back in the reverse fixture back in December 2024, and Holstein Kiel won 5-1. Goodness gracious me. Holstein Kiel on the back of a 7-goal Bobby Dazzler themselves last time around with a 4-3 win over my boys Mönchengladbach Augsburg, though, on the back-to-back games now without a goal. They did lose to Leverkusen last time around, so they're not in the best bit of form. The bookies, though, will back Augsburg for the victory on this one. I've also gone with a draw, though, myself, which gives them a hope, maybe a point closer to some form of safety, and, of course, will make that relegation playoff battle a little bit tight at the end of the campaign. Into the next round of games, it is Freiburg up against current title holders Leverkusen, but that could all be over this time around. Julian Schuster's boys are fourth right now, 51 points for the season, 3 wins on the spin up against Leverkusen on the Xabi Alonso, who's been linked heavily with the possibly vacant job at Real Madrid. They sit second, 67 points for them right now when they're unbeaten in the last 4. They play Freiburg 53 times since 1993, 26 wins for Leverkusen. We've got 12 wins for Freiburg, and there's been 15 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at Freiburg, it was a 3-2 win for Leverkusen back in March 2024. The reverse fixture this season, 5-1 win it was for Leverkusen back in December. In fact, Leverkusen winning 3 on the spin against Freiburg. And they're coming into this on the back of that 2-0 win over Augsburg. There's been too many draws for Leverkusen this season. Freiburg on the back of that 1-0 win over Wolfsburg, back to 3 wins on the spin for them heading into. So they were a good bit of form of Freiburg, and they could actually cause some problems in this game and actually might wrap it up themselves or put a massive final nail in the coffin for Leverkusen here. Bookies, though, back Leverkusen. I am still backing Leverkusen. Got to back them 2-1 winners. But realistically, the dream is all but over. And then finally, it's Mainz. It's Eintracht Frankfurt. It's coming out in the Miwa Arena. Mainz under Bo Henriksen are 7th right now. They are winless in at least the last 6 matches. They are 47 points up against Frankfurt under Dino Topmuller. Of course, 3rd in the table, 55 points for the season. Just 1 win in the last 3, 1 defeat in the last 5. They played Mainz 43 times since 1996. 11 wins Mainz, 14 wins Frankfurt. There's been 18 draws between the two sides. Last time around at this very venue was a 1-1 draw way back in August 2023. The reverse fixture, Mainz coming out on top with a 3-1 win in Frankfurt back in December. The odds for this one, we'll get to that shortly. Mainz on the back of that 3-0 loss to Bayern. Frankfurt on the back of that 4-0 win over Leipzig to make it back-to-back clean sheets. They're also crashed out of the Europa League at the hands of Spurs. Who'd have thunk that bad boy? Mainz are favoured with the bookies on this one. It could be tight, could be a draw, but I'm going to back a draw here, 2-2 in the end, goals galore, and really puts them both in an okay spot towards the end of the season. In fact, this is what it looks like with my predictions on place there. Of course, I think 2 games remaining, 8 points to gaff. Bayern will become champions. Wow, wow, wee, wow. And of course, down the foot, Heidenheim getting a little bit away from themselves, and I think that pretty much guarantees Bochum going down. They will be 7 points adrift with only 6 on the table to get into that relegation playoff spot. And then who knows, actually, Hoffenheim could get sucked into it in the final couple, but that's the state of play there. Make sure you get your own predictions in as well down below, and of course on the Super Brew, we'll bring you bang up to date with that when we return. But until then, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. We'll see you soon when we return. Until then, we're done.